Oh, sorry. We were just dancing to the hold music. Hello, welcome to Nerdist Book Club, live on Nerdist YouTube and Geek and Sundry's Twitch. I am Rachel Heine, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts and Copacabana dancers, Hector, Navarro, and Maude, Garrett.
I fucked up.
Yep. Yeah. Maude let us hear ourselves.
No, I just forgot to mute.
Yeah. Because the elevator music is so good.
Yeah.
It is. It's fun. Yeah, we were having a little dance party before the show.
That was me that whole time? Oh no. Got it. That makes absolutely didn't realize. Hey guys, so great that we're finishing this book today.
I know, we're finishing up.
I got the chat open.
Wait, Maude, did you not know that you were playing the elevator music for us?
Oh, I thought Alex was like, last
I mean, it is. I think technically, it's we have a license for it, so we're good.
Oh, Alex even wrote to me. Oh no, guys.
We're good. Yep. Power of the mute button. Fulano Detal, you are right. If you're not dancing to the hold music, are you even watching? Yeah. We're doing the same thing as you. Hopefully you're dancing at home. And yeah, thank you for joining us. We are on our final week of reading Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. We finished the book, and we initially were going to cover this over the period of a month, but with the show and how much we wanted to talk about the changes from book to TV show and all those things, we extended a little bit, which I'm really glad that we did because I think we were able to talk about more of the show and get to some of the really interesting parts. And also there's so much in all of these sections that I really liked discussing with Maude and Hector and everyone else out there, all of you. So what do you guys think, chat and my friends? Do you want to talk about the show first or the end of the book? We could do either or at this point.
Oh, I kind of ended the book only because my little weighing in on it and thoughts is that it had all of the pieces coming together and everyone had their own story and it was unique in itself. And I love that anthology-esque thing as it intertwined to have the ultimate kind of showdown, and it fell a little flat for me. It was somewhat anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I think the ending is one of my favorite chapters. I think that, like Maude said, all of the characters really coming together and actually sitting or standing in a room together and just describing to one another what each of them went through. I was like, yes, thank you.
I liked that section a lot. Yeah.
That and even Horace being like,
me too.
Adult chased me and I was silenced by a spittle. Yeah.
I think that is what the book was lacking up to this point for me, this feeling of connectedness. Mm-hmm. And I know that we have had conversations about how this is an anthology and that it is kind of mirroring or echoing what H.P. Lovecraft and writers like him would do with this sort of genre. So like that was really cool. But I think I'm also influenced by the show, and the show from the beginning has been a little bit more connected.
Interwoven, yeah.
A little bit more interwoven. So as we were going from the book to the show, I was like, I'm missing it in the book. We're getting it in the show. So for me, the interwovenness of this last chapter worked. And when we get to it, we'll get to talking about it. But I loved the final sort of ending or punishment for the bad guy and reward for the good guys, which we'll talk about. I thought that was fantastic.
Let me disagree with you because I think that even the show is really honing in on the fact that all of them are keeping secrets. Some of them are massive secrets, like the dad and his relationship. Ruby and frickin' Letty are just not communicating completely. Where did you get the house? How did this all come about? Where are you living now? Who are you staying with? They are really keeping like these stories to themselves. And I think that's why it was such a great thing at the end of the book, where they are all kind of finally being a family and bonding and sharing and realizing that all this crazy shit, they've never been alone at all. And I think that's why my favorite moment still is Ruby helping Horace in that moment of just like, she's experienced this other sort of worldly stuff. So her realm of possibilities has literally expanded. And for him to be like, I don't know if I can trust you. She's like, yeah, I get it. I'm all in. So I liked that.
Similar to that moment also reminded me of, or a moment in the last section reminded me of that, which is when Hippolyta is like, I went to another planet. Montrose or somebody's like, seriously, you went to another planet? Okay.
Yeah.
Like they all are kind of like, shit, all right, cool. That's crazy. Okay.
It's almost like everyone
Assemble too, like Avengers Assemble, or like the Scooby Gang, where they're like, it's a season finale, and Buffy, and they you know, everyone has their little part to play, or even like a spy or a heist story. In the comments, we're getting kind of mixed feelings. I think everyone's on different pages, but Game Wizard said, not gonna lie, that ending felt anticlimactic to me. Kind of glad the book is done. I know we stretched it for good reasons, but felt this went on too long. Well, that's fair, because the next book, 3 weeks. How do you guys do 3? What was your 3, Maude? That was a different. Oh, okay. This? Oh. No, I'm just, some people do this. I don't know any, but I feel like
it's because I got decorated.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah, got it.
I go like this.
2 + 2. Anyway, Jimmy Sprinkles also said, I felt it was good, but a little flat. Matthew Kitson, I liked how Caleb had his power stripped away instead of him just being easily killed off. Agree.
Yep.
Obscurial K says, listening to the book, that last battle was so intense. I kind of felt like it was a Saw that just hasn't happened in the visual portrayal. I did feel like the moving pieces I really enjoyed. And I love anything where they're like, we're going to talk about the plan, but then they don't tell you what the plan is until it's happening. There's probably a term for that.
I like that.
I love that trope approach.
I didn't like the fact that the absolute easy solution of, oh yeah, I figured out this other spell where, you know, if someone's got the mark and they're protected, you can kill them. And it was like, that's awfully convenient. And like, as someone that creates arcs over stories, like I'm doing a very, very similar thing with Fungeons and Hector at the moment, where it's like you have different sort of anthology moments and it all leads in. And if I was to present something on my very last episode that's like, oh, and then in your lap falls the answer that you didn't really have to work for, I was like,
the Deus Ex Machina sort of easy solution. Yeah, and I think I also felt like there wasn't a lot of closure with Tick about like his powers as well. Like there weren't as many. There are a lot of emotional moments in the book and emotional like circumstances, but I didn't really feel some of the characters. And I think part of that is the style and that kind of like it is very plot and theme kind of focused. But yeah, and I did really like everyone coming together and sort of sharing, and everyone, even Hippolyta didn't want to tell the story of Ida because she had promised to protect her, but she still, in the spirit of, you know, everyone coming to the table and being honest, she told them, but then Ruby still was like, maybe not.
But is that the shame? What is that? Why was Ruby super closed off?
I don't know, because in the epilogue, she, you know, she's still using Hillary.
Yeah.
Being
exactly.
Hillary.
I feel like the tragedy, or depending on how you look at it and how you feel about it, the happy ending for Ruby, which is quite honestly fucked up to say, is that I think she's going to break off from her family and sever contact, and then just continue to live her life this way for forever. And I had like mixed thoughts on that, mixed feelings about it when that happened in the book, because she knows that it was like using the blood of another person who was like in the book, according to Caleb, comatose or whatever, brain dead, like not even real, barely, but still is able to generate this thing.
I don't trust a thing he says.
And instead of having a character recognize that a person was being taken advantage of by Caleb and helping them, she like hops into that role and she's like, okay, I'll continue to take advantage of that person. So it's almost like, it's kind of a weird metaphor, but the end of the third X-Men movie had the fantastic actress. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name.
Jensen?
No. Who played Juno?
Queen?
Juno from the movie
Oh,
Juno.
Ellen Page.
Kitty Pryde.
Ellen Page was Kitty Pryde.
Ellen Page.
Anna Paquin was Rogue. And Rogue, you know, if she touches you, she can kill somebody. She can't touch people. She can't come into contact with human skin. So that changes your life dramatically. The third X-Men movie had a mutant cure and all the against it. And at the end of the movie, Anna Paquin just had the cure. She just took it so that she could be with Bobby Drake, Iceman, Sean Ashmore.
Even
and that's a
like
lamplighter
in that movie.
It's a real mixed message. I blame director Brett Ratner for that one. It's a real
I blame director Brett Ratner for a lot
of stuff. Because it's just kind of like, why would you say that an oppressed person, if given an opportunity to cure themselves of being oppressed, would do it, when really the message should be there should be no oppression or acceptance, or, you know, where I feel like the rest of the characters, the rest of the family in Atticus, they found their sort of just revenge against Caleb, and the way everything ended, they were like set and everything was going to be cool. And that was an interesting thing, to have Ruby still be like, well, okay, I'm just going to live my life as a white woman. It feels like, okay, so even though these characters and this black family and group of people have suffered so much and are representative of the black experience in the United States, one of them would still like, you know, have the easy way out in a way, like one of them within this story, within this framework. And maybe that's what Matt Ruff was trying to say. Maybe,
I mean, I think it could be too, like, you know, it's a less palatable ending, but it is more, I don't want to say realistic, because obviously it's not a realistic story, but just there are, you know, take the specific example out of the way, there are people who get tempted and pulled into things.
Sure.
So I sort of understood, not necessarily the exact circumstance, but just the idea that someone is going to be lured into this world and not be able to say, like, no, even though all these things are really helpful.
I'd like to take this moment to remind everyone that even Beyonce wrote a song called If I Were a Boy.
There you go. And that's another, I mean, it started.
Yeah, I don't want to be a man personally, you know, but when you see certain things happen or people get a certain advantage, you know, like, man, it'd be really nice to not have to couch things in a certain way because of, you know.
I think ultimately, I think what Matt Ruff is saying in that is that here somebody has an opportunity to take as just much advantage as other people at that higher societal level, and get yours. You know what I mean? Then do that. You get your foot in the door. Like exactly. Which is like also a complex and interesting idea to bring up to within a story where there are people who are lower on the societal ladder. So it's a great comment from Smarcy. This was an amazing book choice. Love the show and the channel. Totally hyped to talk about the ending. I hope, Smarcy, you have been chatting it up in the
let us know what you think. If you have, you know, did you have a favorite character? What was your favorite section? Matt Kieran also said the ending felt like a tease and it was left open-ended like a season 1 finale. I agree. Do we know if there's a sequel in the works?
No idea, but let's remember that Matt wrote this to pitch the TV series, because
it started as a TV show idea that he then turned into a book that he then pitched.
So I think the fact that it was a TV series first, to have it open-ended in that way, to be able to continue that story makes absolute sense.
Yeah. And
it is so interesting though, just how much Misha Green is changing. Like,
which I definitely want to talk about. But I also I want to talk about the magic wand, because I feel like that was such a fun, the little like dragonfly where she's like, boop, you're asleep.
Where did she get that? I forgot.
Where did it come from?
I think it's implied that Caleb sort of gives them some stuff.
Oh, okay.
Ruby comes in to talk to them.
Right.
and sort of fills them in on the plan, but then they're like, okay, we can't keep Caleb around
Look,
because he's obviously
it's
not
a great,
trustworthy.
it's
And
a,
he thinks he owns us. That whole section where they're just like, he will never let us go.
yeah.
And so we have, and I do like that it's sort of the Princess Bride mode, to the pain instead of, killing someone. It's just like, what would be your worst nightmare, bad
Vault
guy?
hog
How
face
can I give it to
buffoon.
you? Yeah.
Sorry.
Drop your sword.
So that every babe will say, good Lord, what is that thing? Oh, love it. I probably misquoted the hell out of it. I'm really good at misquoting.
You guys
But
remember when we met him?
I knew.
that was like, we had our 3-year anniversary.
I just thought, I was like, yeah, oh my God.
I'm like,
It's
We
crazy.
gotta get, I know, we couldn't even go in the room to meet. So for those who have not been with us for a million years, we read the Princess Bride book. Was it 3 years ago?
yeah.
2? Yeah. God, that's insane. And for the last episode, and it was sort of a Hail Mary, through a friend who works blah, 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 Los Angeles, got Carrie Elwes to come in, and talk about his book about the Princess Bride, his memoirs. And, but we thought maybe he would stay for 15 minutes, whatever. He was so chill. He stayed the whole hour, and we were, yes.
Wait.
All three of us are, I mean, everyone loves the Princess Bride, but I think between the three, I'm getting excited again. Yes.
Whoa.
As you wish. As you wish. I was like,
That means he loves you.
Yeah. And he also, so we lost our whole dang minds. And then we had to go in, not have to, but we went in to greet him before, and all of us were just like, hi. Hello.
oh, hello, Rachel. Hello, Hector. Lovely to meet you.
And
Maude.
he said every time, then on the show, anytime we asked him a question or he responded to one of us, he would say our names in his response. And so it was like, wow, Rachel, that's such a, and I'd be like,
yeah.
We were just full on Chris Farley from the Chris Farley show, where he was just like,
yeah.
That's where, if you guys are on Twitter or can use GIFs, if you look up professional, that's where a GIF was born, because I was melting and I was
That was the
Chris Farley so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm here going, I feel like going, I'm professional. But I was not.
Here's a great comment from Ian Powell. Ian says, the book felt like it should return 10 years later in 64. That would be very interesting.
Oh,
Time jump would be very
So-
interesting. Yeah.
that's brilliant.
To then comment on, first of all of the characters aging 10 years to see where their life is, that time jump. Also to comment on what was happening to Black Americans in the 60s. Exactly. That would be really interesting.
And the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the March on Selma and John Lewis, Good Trouble, all of the very powerful stuff is early 60s, 63, 64.
Yeah. That would be great.
That would be so great.
I think honestly reading the end of this book did kind of change my mind about when we started it. We were asking, should this show only be one season, or should they keep doing more seasons? If
and
they're
you thought
only...
one season, you were down for one.
Yeah, but now I'm like, you know what? Maude reminded me, Matt Ruff wrote this book, or wrote this as a show, couldn't get it sold, then wrote the book, then it got picked up. And now I'm like, you know what? If there's a real good take like that 10-year time jump, or if they have more ideas to explore and more character stuff to do, I'm all for it, as long as the first season does wrap, at least as far as I was concerned, pretty satisfactorily the way that the book did. As long as season 1 does that, but they still leave stuff open, I'd be down.
When I think especially for shows, kind of in the last 5-ish years, where creators can pitch an overall idea. I will continue to tell everyone, if you love stuff with puzzles and genre and emotional beats, watch Dark on Netflix. It's the best thing. And they pitched it as a 3-season show, and they knew what was going to, and I just think that always not always, but it really helps with these sort of mystery genre type stories. And another show way back when, which did not pitch itself to end at a certain time, was Fringe. I felt like Fringe would answer a lot of questions in a season and then open up new ones. And so I can see this doing that, especially because Misha Green is making a lot of changes. Even I do think, you know, the spirit and the genre and everything, I think she's fleshing out the characters a lot more, and they're not as self-contained where they end. They're not like stories that, like the ghost, that like, okay, the ghost is gone until we need him to, you know, channel to go in that elevator. I was like, the elevator, that's where the elevator comes in, to a ghost world. But I think that because they're more open-ended and there's more flexibility, that you could, you know, resolve at least the sort of overall Christina story.
Okay.
But still have all of these different kinds of worlds to explore, or to find, you know, more info about different religions or archaeological ruins or Cthulhu, you know.
Great comment from Smarcy. Also for me, Hippolytus section is still my fave, even after that satisfying ending that Caleb gets. I did also love that the book acknowledges that their future will be hard with or without Caleb's protection. So I want to talk about the ending, because I loved that everybody just started busting up laughing at Caleb's threat. And at first I was like, why are they laughing? What's about to happen? What are they going to do?
I was like,
is this going to be a counter spell? What's happening? And then they just said, like, basically, you idiot, we're black. Of course we know everybody's coming for us all the time. And people, we have to look over our shoulders like, what do you think how do you think we are? You stupid moron. I thought that was kind of brilliant. I thought it was a great way to, you know, we talked about it last week or the week before, like, how is this story going to wrap up? How, you know, how do Lovecraft stories normally wrap up? How are you going to give these characters a happy ending if they still are living in the United States at this time, and they're still African American, they're still black characters? Like, how is all of that going to work? And I think that a really, really satisfying solution was they will use the resources that they have, team up, work together, and not just kill Caleb, but oust him. It was almost like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Rachel, did you get to the end of that show?
Yes, it's the best ending I've ever seen in my life.
Kill the Fire Lord. Fire Lord Ozai, he takes his bending away. And it was similar to that.
Because you basically like neuter them of their power.
Yeah.
And they'd rather die than lose that power because they're hooked on it.
Yes.
And it also keeps him away from all of anyone near him, any of the cities, you know, where large communities of Black folks are living in the country, where it's like, we do need a safe haven, especially from you weirdo wizard. I
just checked to see if you two have seen the Avatar show, which I was like 90% sure that you guys did. I know that Rachel was watching it, but she's finished it. Forgot to check with the internet. I spoiled it for some people. They're in the chat. They're like, never seen it. I've never seen it. Well, forget what I just said. Please watch it. By the time you start watching it,
honestly, it doesn't.
It doesn't break it.
I don't think that matters as a spoiler.
No. But it's
It is one of the best things especially the finale.
So good.
I was watching it and live texting with my best friend Alex from high school, because he's been trying to get me to watch it forever. And he was like, okay, I'm going to put it on. And so we're just like live tweeting just to each other, basically.
Maude watched it back in Australia, right?
Yeah. When I was hosting Nickelodeon, I was really, really, really into the show then. And I was like, guys, I know it's a kid's show, but this is the best thing I've ever seen. I'm so into it. And then I rewatched it all during lockdown. I think I did like 3 seasons in 5 days kind of deal.
I've been thinking about rewatching it already.
Well, first question though, have you?
But I haven't watched Korra yet.
You got to do that.
I know, I really want to. I took a break to rewatch for only the second time Angel, which, spoiler alert, still bad. It's not.
Yeah, I never got that.
Not a good show. Season 5 has some good episodes.
You got it.
The way that they write their female characters is
problematic,
to say the least.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. No, let's talk about the sort of the plan coming together too. Because
Okay.
I hope we get to see something like that in the show, and I think we will.
Again, though, too many things conveniently fell into place. Like, Letitia all of a sudden had, her little silver dragonfly. I would have liked to have
this was Caleb's plan, and they're helping him execute it. So he's giving them all of their stuff.
I would have preferred it if when Letitia had her episode or her moment, she either stumbled across it or somehow Caleb had planted a way for her to receive that.
More agency.
It's kind of like the Narnia stuff where it's like they are bestowed these particular gifts that only they are like, good to use. And it's like, their particular personality or whatever amplifies whatever that weapon is. But again, it all happened in the last episode. And I was like, you could have planted this along the way.
Yeah.
The comic book was a plant, but like, I just thought that so many convenient things happened, and it was only sort of a 50-minute read. So it was somewhat of a shorter chapter as well, where it was like, and swink.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a tricky balance to pre-plan all of that stuff and plant those seeds throughout the book and not have us, the reader, figure it out and still have there be like an element of surprise at the end. If there is kind of a question of how is this all going to work, and have it be kind of exciting and stuff, like Rachel said, to have characters say, here's the plan, and then it cuts to the plan. I think it's a tricky balance. I agree with you, Maude. I think that, and this is my overall thoughts on the book too. I think that the way that the last chapter came together, I would have liked to have seen more of that just throughout the book, maybe more interconnectivity.
Less of the serial kind of focus.
Yeah, I think so. Just so that things don't feel as though they're out of left field. And I'm such a dumb reader that, like, even if you tell me, like you said, Maude, in the chapter with Letitia, Caleb gives her a wand and she doesn't know what it could do, but here it is. And then we don't see it again until the end. A normal reader would know, she's going to use that wand and it's going to be cool. I'm so dumb. I would have been like, what is that? A wand? Oh, great. Cool. Okay.
The wand is back.
The wand is back. Well, I don't know. I never get mad about stuff like that. If stuff is a little like over explained or over telegraphed, maybe things are kind of easy, but
I love foreshadowing.
It's also hard. I mean, this is like why on projects that I want to work on, I always end up stuck, because I love mysteries and connecting dots. And when I'm reading, especially, I have some recommendations for any thriller fans out there later that I just finished. But I love being caught by surprise where it makes sense, where it's not like this thing that you would never expect. And so I think that is such an insane skill to not only build a universe with specific rules that maybe the reader or viewer doesn't know yet, but if you look at it as a whole later, they all make sense. Universe building, very important, but also the sort of anything that has that culmination, you need to kind of work backwards almost.
Agreed.
And that always stresses me out, because I want to work on like mystery stuff, and I'm like, I'll never be able to make a good mystery.
Oh yeah, if I were to ever write a mystery, it would just be like a Scooby-Doo mystery. Like that's the level I'm at, where it's very simple. That formula.
No, I want
the only other character that was introduced to us in the episode.
For your book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I still remember when I went to go see Murder on the Orient Express with Maude, when we were reading the book, and I hadn't got to that point, and then we're watching the movie, and then when the movie tells me what it happened, I turned to Maude and I was like, no way. It was so fun. It was great.
And that's such a funny trope too, I think, that's used maybe not as much recently, but especially I think in like the 80s, of like that Agatha Christie sort of came up with and uses in a couple of different books, of like they all did it in different ways, and Clue also plays off of that.
Or Scream, it was like the killer is two dudes in Scream, the first Scream movie. Yeah, I thought
and one of them's really annoying, and one of them is problematically hot.
I've never seen Scream. Thanks for spoiling that for me. That's twice, Hector. That's two.
You know what? That one was a favor, because I know you get spooked easily. It's like when you read the Wikipedia.
Oh, you'd really like that one. It's so funny.
Scream is a good time. Scream is a good time.
I love all of the Scream movies. I love 4. I think 4 is very underrated.
I need to
Watch it
rewatch
again, Hector.
I need to
Watch it
rewatch
again.
because I remember when I watched it, it's Wes Craven, right? Who did the
Yeah.
Scream movies? Wes
Yeah.
Craven was like in his 70s or something, and I was like, oh, I don't think he's the guy to direct this movie about teens because the teens felt like not.
Steve Buscemi in a backwards cap.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Yeah, but that's
But-
also part of the
Yeah.
meta of the. I'm excited for 5.
Absolutely.
In the chat, what was your favorite section? What's your favorite character? Did you like the ending? I want to hear what everyone thought, and I want to hear for you too. I don't have the actual view, so
You're in the middle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think. Am I on the right side? Am I looking at the right side?
No, other side.
My favorite section was Hippolyta Disturbs the Universe, which is why I want to talk about the episode of the show that just aired, because it was vastly different. It was very, very different.
I preferred the book. I preferred the book.
Me too, but the episode threw me, and there was some real beautiful stuff in there, but I also did prefer what the story in the book did.
Yeah.
That's the one I think that I connected most to with. I've known for years that H.P. Lovecraft is supposed to be cosmic horror. It's supposed to be this dread of you can't even fathom looking at some shit from space that's so crazy your head would melt if you know.
Which feels like the most realistic way we would find aliens. It would be like, we can't even comprehend how you exist, what plane you exist on. Our brains would just melt.
Absolutely. Get Amy Adams in here because I need a translator. Yes. So that section of the book, Hippolyta Disturbs the Universe, got me closest to feeling like that because I'm like, oh my God, trapped on another planet. This is the most stressful thing ever. That little box, the woman there, the alien creature on the beach that then she gave her a little ball of and was like, take this home and then don't open it, knowing it was going to kill her. All of that stuff I loved.
I liked and it was so visual with it, like, and it felt both of the episodes actually, both the episode on TV and the book felt very Doctor Who as well for me with that cosmic.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they are all, there's a number of people, and it's how long do you last?
Yep.
And what is the thing? What is your breaking point? What is your role? I really liked that exploration, but then in the show it was just, a solo adventure through cosmic space.
Yeah, I feel like if I hadn't read the book, like the episode is so gorgeous and sumptuous, and I love the, I can only speak as a woman, but just like female rage and resentment and not even knowing that you're angry because it's so, I saw that, because it's so unexpected or not allowed to feel that way. Like I just really really resonated with me in the episode, because I feel like, well, this is not it's whatever. Everyone should be in therapy if you can. My therapist at one point was like, you have to learn how to like get mad, because I get mad at myself. I don't really get mad at I can now, I'm working on it, but this like
Get mad, girl.
This idea that you don't even know that you're mad because everything is so normalized around you.
And figuring out why you're mad and figuring
why
out
are you mad, and is it systemic, and with George, I loved seeing George again. I loved the show.
I liked that.
And I was like,
I liked it in the finale.
From this pocket universe, can we like bring him back?
Yeah, George in the last section of the book was great too.
I like George being throughout the book.
Yeah.
I had Rach, for inspiration, Mr. Nancy, I believe, says it best: mad gets shit done.
Yes. Oh my God. Orlando Jones.
Yeah.
In that first season, until they just went completely off the rails and treated him like garbage, and also everyone else, it sounds like. But when we had just finished reading that book for Alpha Book Club, and we're watching the show, and I remember us all being like, oh my God, he should win an Emmy for this.
Yeah.
His like opening scene.
Yeah.
And he was so great too when he came in on the show. He's a lovely dude. He's just a lovely dude.
That was great.
But yeah, I that's my favorite section of the book. It felt like.
Wait, which section?
Hippolyta destroys?
Disturbs.
Disturbs. Thank you, the universe.
I think all of them have like, I liked the setup of the first one, which really drilled the message, which is a monster. I liked the second with the haunted house because I got incredible. Alexa, now's not the time. I got really good Haunting of Hill House vibes, which was really nostalgic of our very first book for Alpha Book Club.
I know.
So long ago. So I really like sort of like haunted horror house vibes. I think that's super exciting for me. The Shining, which we previously covered as well. Sentient houses or a ghost, you know, finding residence in a house.
We should do a short, The Turn of the Screw, Henry James. That's like a novella, but the next anthology show from Mike Flanagan, who did Dr. Sleep and Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which is amazing. His next one is Haunting of Bly Manor. Similar cast, but totally different characters, and it's based on Henry James' The Turn of the Screw. And I haven't read that since probably high school, so that could just be a fun one for a short.
Also, as soon as we have a vaccine, Maude, you should come over and watch the animated movie Monster House in 3D. That's a good time, and it's spooky, but
I would do that. Wait, Hector, have you watched The House with the Clock in Its Walls?
No, with Jack Black, not yet. Is it any good?
I don't know, but it's based on a kid's book that I was just talking to Matt Caron about this. Just do you know Edward Gorey's art? Someone in the chat, please post a link. Just very like, it'll make sense to you why I loved it growing up. It's like very like spindly, gothy art.
Oh, is it kind of like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, or?
It's not that creepy. It's more like Tim Burton's art. It's more like Tim Burton's art, but predating him. But the John Belair's books were basically like a kid in the 50s and a weird sort of Obi-Wan professor neighbor guy. It's like Nancy Drew meets like spooky goth stuff.
Wrinkle in Time, maybe a little bit.
Kind of, but like definitely darker and weirder. And House with the Clock in Its Walls is one of those books. And I forgot that they made a movie and hadn't seen it. Cool. Maybe you would have and could tell me if it was good.
Love JB. I will get to it. More great comments in the chat. Everybody's sharing their favorite section. Clever Girl says, I love Letitia in her showdown with the ghost. It's probably my favorite part. Brad Easton, Horace and the Devil Doll. Dog was my fave. Devil Doll?
Oh!
Dog?
Devil Doll.
Matthew Kitson says, I appreciate
like a hot dog.
How the show made it a journey of personal discovering for Hippolyta.
Yeah.
So there were things, again, as we're talking about, there are things I really liked about the episode. I love the design of that future woman with the incredible fro.
Yeah.
That black woman who came out and she was like robot, or it was like
Afrofuturism in the 70s, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of different styles, costumes that
the floaty panels and stuff. All that stuff was cool. I also just miss that cosmic horror versus like travel through time and have it be a personal discovery, and you can join us at the end. Oh, but would I be able to be with my daughter? No, I have to go back to her. That was great. All that stuff was great. It's just, man, I can't think of a more divergent than the book episode of the show so far. Not including the one with Jamie Chung, which is completely new.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even.
That's still my favorite episode, I think.
It's a good episode.
I just thought it was so good, and also,
they're also crazy.
That's another one of the who is the real monster here,
Yes,
and
exactly.
My favorite part of the book was Jekyll and Hyde Park.
That's a close second for me. I really liked that one too. Nick Swing 38 says Hippolyta disturbs the universe was my favorite section. The ending of the book made sense, but I would have enjoyed to see more of the planning stage, and more of what it was like to get help from Hiram seemed a little rushed. I agree on the Hiram part, because I had to go back and be like, wait, what did they even do? What happened? I liked that they talked about the plan and then you get to see it in action, but I wish that we had seen more from the like ghost dimension scene where they just get in the elevator. Montrose is like, I got this. Like,
yeah.
Okay, don't eat or drink anything, which is very Persephone.
And very Alice in Wonderland.
And very.
Yeah. See, that movie's so scary, Maude. You've seen that? You can see them all. If you've seen
I watched that the other week. I really liked it.
It's so good. It's beautiful.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like the end, not the sort of heist bit where they're all planning I didn't think that was rushed, but I did think that overall it felt a little rushed.
Yeah, that's the trick of going from an anthology style like flavor to then just be like, and then all the characters come together at the end. It's you know, I think Matt Ruff was doing that catch-up work of like, okay, everybody check in with each other, talk to one another, instead of having it happen throughout. Ruby knew about Horace and the Devil Doll because Ruby was treating Horace like an adult, and that's a reason that Maude loved that section so much, is it felt like family coming together, and it was great. That could have kind of been happening throughout. Look, everybody knows one of my favorite shows, and one of Rachel's least favorite shows is the show Lost. Everybody knows.
It's not that it's my least favorite show, it's that it broke my heart.
Everybody knows that Rachel hates every episode of Lost, especially the ending, but every episode. I do
hate it. I emotionally, anyway.
The frustrating...
Not gonna take the bait.
Bad, Rachel.
The frustrating, but sometimes would make sense thing about that show is that you had these characters that were the leads, that were kind of all the decision makers of the survivors on this mysterious island. They would come across information like, oh, there's a smoke monster. They wouldn't share it with everybody else because they're like, we don't want to freak everybody out. We're trying to...
No, that all makes...
It makes sense, but it's also like...
You just said that my favorite episode is Jack's tattoo, and I will not accept slander.
That is slander. Rachel's favorite episode is Nikki Paolo's episode.
Actually, I do really like that one. From a cultural standpoint, it makes me laugh. Where they're like, who are these people?
Maude, have you ever seen Lost?
No.
I'm curious as to how you would think about it. They have a lot of actors on the show, and a lot of them end up doing Australian characters because a whole point of it is that it's flying from Sydney to LA, and then they crash on a mysterious island. So there's a bunch of characters that are supposed to be having had backstories in Sydney or in other parts of Australia. So I'm like, and they filmed the entire show in Hawaii. So I don't know if they had Hawaiian actors putting on accents or if they actually had Australian actors or...
Emily DeRaven is in Lost and she's Australian.
And she's Australian and she's wonderful in it. And yeah, she is legit Australian. And the rest of the flight is very kind of international and stuff and a lot of Americans. But, you know, when you go to like her backstory, like she goes to see like she's pregnant. She goes to see like a fortune teller and he's like, you can't have this baby. You have to, you know, do whatever you do. Don't get on this flight. Like, and I'm like, is he Australian? Because it sounds okay. Or do they get a bunch of actors in Hawaii that are like, yeah, I can do Australian?
Your accent was like very cliche, but passable.
Ooh, passable. I like that.
Well, I feel like that's like feels bad. I feel bad, but when I studied in Rome in college, it was like if you actually do sort of the like Italian accent the way that you think of it in pop culture, it helps you learn the language.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very like anyway. Also
don't get on that
and this is what?
Don't
California.
Get on that flight.
Well, you can't get on that flight.
I can't do one.
What?
We were going to, Hector, Lee, and I were going to start rewatching the show, and it's my fault. I kept failing. And now we can't because we're in lockdown, but we should do like an online watch along thing. Maybe, Hector, when you're done with your Simpsons situation.
White Claw, Lee says, White Claw and Lost Watch? Sure, man, sure. There's another fun one from early in season 1 of Lost where Evangeline Lilly's character like is also hiding out in the Australian outback and she comes across a farm. And I think she tells the farmer her name is Anne. Yeah, so this farmer's like, I think this farmer has like one arm that doesn't work because of an accident or something, and he was just like,
a tractor.
Listen, girl, it's a lot of money, Annie. That's a lot of money, and it's a great scene. And I'm like, is this a Hawaiian actor? Because he's doing pretty good.
You look pretty good.
Do you think they filmed that scene in Hawaii?
All in Hawaii, dude.
The whole thing.
100%. 100%. You can tell because the Australian farm has a bunch of mountains in the background. I'm like, that's Hawaii.
Can you? I don't know if in the framing you can see this little butt head back here.
Oh yeah, we can see. We can. All but 2 scenes are in Hawaii of the entire show. Which 2 scenes, Lee? That's crazy. Don't spoiler. Be like the last.
And all the LA ones. I guess that makes sense.
No, Edgar, that's not the ending of Lost. That's not what it is. From the
Matt
pilot.
Karen says, speaking of Australia, any Summer Heights High fans? With Jermaine from the private all-girls school, that was my high school experience.
Oh, wait, which thing would you be? Flight of the Conchords?
No.
What did you just say?
Summer Heights High?
Oh, I haven't watched.
Are you saying Selma Hayek is high?
That's what I thought.
Summer Heights High.
Thank you. Okay.
I got it the second time, but
I heard
Selma Hayek the first time.
Really?
So what are we talking about?
Summer Heights High.
Is that a show?
Yeah, so it's like it's a mockumentary style show. Chris Lilly is a very funny Australian comedian. The only problem is in Australia we're such a little bubble and we don't understand like all the offensive things or don't get the depth of it all. And he played a black rapper and he transformed into a black rapper. And and then when it went on to Netflix and things like that, Americans are like, this is blackface.
Oh, I feel like I read about this. I was just
but he also played like an Asian woman. He played a Tongan high schooler. Yeah. So he just like kind of went.
Oh, is that Jamie? No.
Jamae.
Sorry, I've only seen it written out.
It's kind of like Sacha Baron Cohen doing a bunch of different characters.
Wait, but is Jamae the same person?
Yeah.
Or is that a different? Okay, I know exactly.
Jamae is my high school experience, and I can tell you with confidence that he nailed that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to watch that because I do love, those types of experiences, and I imagine I watched the new Craft trailer and was like, A, I'm gonna watch this. I'll watch any witch movie. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. B, maybe it will speak to, a new generation. But I remember being at an all-girls school in LA with like watching and we were in middle school too. So we were like younger than the characters are supposed to be. And it was just like, oh, this is how this is what it's going to be. And we just emulated, which is not good. Don't recommend.
Matt Karen says, Jamae was definitely the hardest to watch because it felt pretty real. Guys, hang on a second. I got to go to bat for Lost because there's some trash talking in the chat. I have to call out real quick.
What are people saying? Because I have some opinions.
This happens all the time, which I just want to correct this, but opinions are fine. Share opinions. But Edgar Van Gogh, I'm calling.
Are they talking about it being purgatory?
Edgar said, there are better portrayals of limbo. They all died and are in limbo.
Nope.
Edgar said Lost is rubbish. And except they want to be in heaven. That's why it's so challenging. That is actually categorically incorrect, Edgar. You have to watch every episode. This happened once. A reporter once called out Damon Lindelof, who was like the head writer of Lost, or the showrunner, with being like, so this is what the ending is. And Damon had to be like, that's not what the ending actually is. That's there. Everything that happens in the show actually happened in the real world.
It's only until the final
right. And even then, that's not limbo. It's something else. So I would just say to Edgar to just rewatch it, just because that's incorrect. And then Edgar says, and that guy writes Star Trek, rubbish, trashmobile. Well, Damon Lindelof did write the first 2 Star Trek movies, I think, but also did Watchmen on HBO. So it's like
he's learned a lot.
It's tough to just be like, it's rubbish.
The Leftovers.
Guys, I ran out of string cheese.
Oh no. Is that what you were popping in your mouth, or was that Smarties?
I thought they were like candies. Your runts. Those runts that you love.
We're popping string cheese.
You have a giant bat.
Gobstoppers.
Oh, gobstoppers.
Okay. No, man, I watched all the episodes. You told me to watch it twice? Yes. Or read the synopses of the episodes, because
it's
some stuff was
until the final season. I can agree with you on, and honestly, emotionally, and I have not watched it since the night of the finale, which I then argued with the group of people I watched it with including Alex, for like 4 hours straight.
This is the best advertisement for the Geekbomb after show book club.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. We're being less. Yeah, we're gonna talk about a lot. We're gonna do that. I was actually thinking that, and then I got heated and needed to.
Here was my problem with also calling out Edgar just now. Edgar then says HBO's Watchmen pisses in Rorschach's boots. I'm sorry. Are you a Rorschach fan because you were not supposed to be. So that's my problem. So I guess I'll just take back everything I said about Edgar, because Edgar's a huge Rorschach fan. And the HBO's Watchmen says that people who would be Rorschach fans got a lot of issues. So I don't know. Again, Edgar, I don't know if that's the hill you want to die on. I don't know if that's what you want to. You want to say you love the original comic? Awesome, go for it. It's fantastic. But that's like, hey, man, Daniel Craig's James Bond is bad because it shits all over Blofeld. Wait a minute, you can't, huh? You were supposed to root for James Bond, not Blofeld, of the original. Anyway, Rorschach was kind of the villain.
All right. What else do we want to talk about Lovecraft Country? What do you think? So, Maude, you're definitely pro book over show, even without the ending, which is totally fair. I feel like this is a really good example of having similar themes and characters and sort of the kernels of everything, seeds maybe, but they become, one is becoming its own thing. And I like both of them for different reasons. Like the last episode, I thought that the design was amazing. The sort of hopping through time and all of these like trailblazing women, but not ones that are Black women, not ones that are, necessarily talked about or referenced as much, minus obviously Black Panther was inspired by that group whose name I don't have in front of me. But I loved all the costume work. I loved that she's kind of it is this personal journey for her, figuring out what she's feeling, why she's, obviously her husband died, but she's even beyond that has been in just this funk. And it finds out that she's mad. And I'm excited to see what she does now that she knows that she's mad.
Yeah.
I love just the costumes and the look and feel. Yeah. And
I love that.
Each segment is like a little bit of like sexuality and poetry, and then just demolishing, in war and finding that rage, and then finding sort of quiet moments of rage and war in your relationship. I thought that was all super well done, but I also really love the book story. But we've also diverged completely from the Hiram Winthrop stuff. He's a very different character in both.
Yeah, I am going to reserve my judgment until the show is wrapped. But I gave Lovecraft Country 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't know if I will keep it to reread it. I got a limited amount of shelf space, as you can see. So I only am trying
8 out of 10?
The stuff that I love. What's that? 8 out of 5? That's a lot. 8 out of 10?
8 out of 10 is what she's saying. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's fair.
I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads.
4? Yeah. Okay, excellent. Yeah. I'm at a 3, but I still thought it was a great read. I thought it was overall really, really good. Just didn't love it overall. That's 4 out of, and I gave it 3. Okay, great. Now we're just getting silly. But I'm curious about. I'm really, really interested to see how the show is going to wrap.
Me too. There are 3 more episodes. It looks like we're getting. But yeah, I think they exist sort of as 2 different entities at this point.
Yeah. Totally. Which I appreciate.
Yeah, we're gonna see some of it. Looks like flashbacks from Tick's great grandma, or great grandma.
We're getting
in the preview. The little girl. I'm pretty sure that's a flashback. Yeah. So that's what I thought, but I could be totally wrong.
I think the next episode is also going to be Diana and the Devil Doll. Like I think they're straight up going to do that.
Yeah, there's that too. But But yeah, I do think that we're going to see, I hope we get to see the sort of like heist maneuver plan. And then, I really love when you can take something that is really great on its own in its medium, and the way that she has found so many different ways to tell that story for herself from her and others' perspectives.
And it's still
for the medium that makes
Correct.
sense. Like, it's not perfect. I have some
Yep.
like tonal issues with the show, and I do think it's hard because it does feel like it's kind of jumping all over the place a little bit. But I still would much rather see a show just like go insane and try everything than play it safe.
and then versus just a like straight one-to-one adaptation. I think
Yeah.
it would have been let down by
Like
something that did
the
that.
Watchmen movie.
And it's still the same story at its core. The TV show and the book. It's still the same
Yeah.
overall
The
story.
themes are the same.
Yeah.
And it is a different medium. So yeah, well, let us know in the chat, everyone, what you think. And Smarcy, I 5-starred this on Goodreads. I really enjoyed the genre hopping and all of the very realistic people and all of their flaws. Heck yes, that's one of our favorite things about genre in general is that you can use these like what?
Your cat started walking, but because your cat is black and white, I couldn't see half the cat, and it looked like a fucking doll was walking in green.
I know. I turned on the lights behind me. I don't know why I'm so backlit, but yeah.
Oh, you can't see it in the frame though. Oh,
Oh,
no.
okay. My entire apartment is black and white, and both of my cats are inverted black and white colors, and so
It looked like his two legs spindly were like, no. I was like, Rachel, oh my god. Behind you.
I know, it's like in a horror movie where you're like, turn around. It's just my cat, and he's gonna yell at me about his food. But yeah, no, Smarcy, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, everyone, thank you for participating in the chat. That is Lovecraft Country. We will obviously still keep talking about it as many times as you would like to in the after show or on Twitter, but we've got some homework to give. So our next book is His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. And I just want to say, I'll read the official description and then a snippet of a review on Goodreads that I read and was like, this has to be it. So the actual description of the book is aerial combat brings a thrilling new dimension to the Napoleonic Wars as valiant warriors rise to Britain's defense by taking to the skies, not aboard aircraft, but atop the mighty backs of fighting dragons. See, I did it the first time and now I can't. That's one of my, like, anthropomorphic for you.
Yeah.
Napoleonic, I was stressing over that one.
Napoleonic.
But this is part of I sort of toned the review down, but sort of segments from a review on Goodreads. Dragons with awesome Han Solo type female riders and plucky young girls manning the gunnery, and uptight, strong and silent type men of good standing learning how to fight dirty with dragons.
I'm in.
So, super in. We're reading that. Your homework is to read the first 4 chapters of His Majesty's Dragon. Stop at chapter 5. And before you ask, why didn't we pick something spooky for October? Number 1, we just read Lovecraft Country. Number 2, we're reading a bonus book this month. So we're doing His Majesty's Dragon.
I got it. Is it a surprise still?
No, I'm about to announce it so you can grab it. So we're reading a bonus book the last week of October. It's called The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates with our partner at Sourcebooks. So speaking of haunted house stuff, we're doing another one. And it's like, we started the earliest version of this show in October 2016 and read Haunting of Hill House. So it does feel really like, we should have like a little anniversary, you know.
My brother's name is Darcy.
Oh.
Mr. Darcy. So we're going to cover that book the last week of October. So your extra credit homework, if you want to join in, is to read that book. It's quick. It's a super fun. I've just started it, but you basically have 2 homework assignments. Sorry. There's no pop quiz though. So first 4 chapters of His Majesty's Dragons. And if you'd like to join us for the last week in October to read this book, just read that book at your leisure over the month.
Miss Necromancer was right. Darcy Coates is the USA Today best-selling author of Hunted, The House Next Door, Craven Manor, and more than a dozen other horror and suspense titles. She lives on the central coast of Australia with her family, cats, and a garden full of herbs and vegetables. Darcy loves forests, especially old growth forests where trees dwarf anyone who step between them. Hell yeah. Darcy.
All right.
Lady author.
Aussie Darcy.
Two ladies in a row. Two ladies in a row.
Boom.
Dragons, haunted house.
What was
Australia.
before? Oh, that's right. Lovecraft is a dude, but before Lovecraft, it was a lady with Star Wars, right? Bloodline?
Yep.
Did we do Bloodline before or after?
Claudia Gray.
Black Leopard.
Leopard. After. Remember, we need a palate cleanser. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Also, like, I have such a strong evidence to claim that Matt Ruff plays D&D.
Well, where can we talk about this theory, Maude?
Oh, okay, sure. We do an after show every single book club. Questions that we didn't quite answer in here or tangents that we had to reel back in. We do that in Geekbomb's Discord. If you want to have access to the reading section and the book club call, all you have to do is back Geekbomb on Patreon, and then you can get instant access to the Discord, join in discussions for not only book club, but a lot of other things as well, which is great. Which is great if you love Dungeons and Flagons, playing video games, watching a bunch of shows, and talking about reading. Our community is amazing, so we'll join you all there.
Yeah, we'll see you there. If you're confused about your homework, because I am getting off track a little bit.
Read the first 4 chapters of the Dragon Book.
We'll be also posting on social. Follow us at Nerdist on all of the things. If you have recommendations for books, we have no idea what we're doing for November or December. Haunting of Ashburn House is going to be last weekend of October.
Also written in 2016, same year as Lovecraft Country. Yeah.
Everything is coming together. But yeah, send us your book recommendations.
Dresden.
If you like, yes.
Book 3.
On Twitter, # Nerdist Book Club. And also if you want to talk about thrillers and mysteries, I just read 2 really good ones. So find us on Twitter, join us on the after show. We'll see you there. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Sorry, cat.